healthy and beautiful. I will love the land, the air, the water, and all living creatures. I will be a defender of my planet, united with friends. I will save the earth.
My name is Commissioner Frank Avila. I'm a commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. And the name of our show today is Hacia Tonight. And I have as my guest Jorge Perez. He's the executive director, and we call it Hacia.
That's right.
Thanks for being on the show, Jorge.
Thank you, Commissioner. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Now,
for having me.
Jorge, introduce yourself, your background.
Sure.
And then we'll start getting into Hacia.
Okay. My name is Jorge Perez, and I'm the executive director of Hacia, and that's the acronym for the Hispanic American Construction Industry Association. It's an organization that's been around for 40 years, and we're dedicated to ensuring that our members, most of which are Hispanic, architectural, design, and construction companies, that they participate in a lot of the developments that go on throughout the state of Illinois, whether it's public projects or private projects as well.
I see. And then your background, Jorge. How did
Okay.
you become the executive director?
That's a great question. First of all, I'm from South Chicago.
Yeah, okay.
So I grew up on the southeast side of Chicago, in a part of the South Chicago called the Bush.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family-owned bakery, grocery store, but like many immigrant families, you do more than one thing. My father was a baker. My mom ran the store, but my dad was also a steel worker for U.S. Steel, and did a lot of work in terms of just helping run the shop when I was a kid. But as I got older and as the decline in the steel industry, I wanted to figure out how I can get more involved in what's going on and how do you actually help things out. So I worked at I worked in the store, went to college at night at Roosevelt University for my undergrad, and then started working for a local community economic development organization in the neighborhood on the southeast side. And then when I got a chance to go to grad school, I went to Loyola University here in Chicago for my MBA. Our family closed our grocery bakery store. My dad got shipped over to U.S. Steel from Southworks in South Chicago to Gary, Indiana. And then I really started picking up on my work on my career. So I started off in economic development, industrial development, and then I ran, and that's where I started my first association work. Was heading up a group called the Calumet Area Industrial Commission, focused on industrial manufacturing companies still in that area.
Yeah.
So around Lake Calumet, the Calumet River systems, and everything around that corridor down about I-80. Did that for several years, helped turn that organization around, and then I went to work. Actually, got appointed by then Mayor Daley to head up as a deputy commissioner for the Chicago Airport Systems, the planning, real estate, and concession program for both Midway and O'Hare.
Yeah.
And did that for a few years. And one of my big projects there was Terminal 5 redevelopment.
Oh, yes.
So if you notice, it was a bus stop for a long time, and headed up the whole procurement to redevelop that. And then from there, did a brief stint at the CTA. I was their vice president of policy and planning. And as soon as I started there, the Hacia board back then was looking for a new executive director. I had about 8 years of experience prior doing association work, working with a board and a membership, and so I decided to throw my hat in, and it's been 8 years since I've been executive director, and a lot of fun.
Well, they're very fortunate to have you.
Thank you.
With all your experience.
Thank you very much.
I worked at the mills. I worked at Youngstown.
Yeah?
I was a young engineer.
Look at that.
Building the mills up there. I was. I lived on the north side. I took the train all the way.
Wow.
There.
Yeah.
And then I had my own company, and we had a contract at the airport. We did O'Hare, Miggs, and Midway for about 20 years.
Awesome.
Yeah, had there. But Hacia, give us a history of Hacia and his mission now.
Sure.
Hacia really grew.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a great story. It's a great, great legacy.
Yes.
The organization, it's been around 40 years, as I said, but the origins started off clearly late 70s. You had a growing number of Hispanic contractors that wanted to get involved public works,
Yeah.
and as everyone says nowadays, be inequitably represented.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the activist strategies were undertaken back then, and I know they would shut down work sites and job sites to get an opportunity for
Yeah.
Hispanic contractors
yeah.
involvement. And when Harold Washington became mayor, it really helped the organization. And so the founders of it, the gentleman by the name of Manny Rodriguez, helped put together the first sort of organizing effort of organizing businesses,
Yes.
a la a Chamber of Commerce sort of way, but to really focus on how do you actually get Hispanics involved in public works projects. So there was an alliance with Mayor Washington to see how to get firms certified. Mayor Washington had the first minority women business program, and so Hacia partnered with his administration to make sure that members of Hacia back then got certified and involved in these projects. So, and then over the course of the last 40 years, you see a growth in the membership, big growth in the 90s when there was a big wave of capital dollars. A lot of firms joined Hacia, got certified, and then started increasing their capacity to do more work. But it's a wonderful story where you see the founding members gain capacity, get certified, get involved in a lot of projects, hire more people. But then you, as an organization, you see the organizing effort to say, how do you actually then continue the advocacy, build on the relationships, and really provide the training and technical assistance for firms so that while you may be advocating and doing what you need to do on the front end, you want to make sure that the contractors are certified and have the capacity and the know-how and orientation to get them to work with large private contractors on bigger projects. And so that's been a very key strategy for us. I think what's key as well is that you see a growth in engineering firms join Hacia from the early days. And in some cases, you see the sons and daughters of original members starting their own firms. In some cases, the mother or father may have been a carpenter or a laborer. Their sons or daughters become architects and engineers. And then they've started their own shops, and then they join Hacia. So there's that continuing cycle of bringing new firms in, but there's a legacy behind who they are. But also, we wanted to invite everybody, and our doors are open. So growth in the architectural firms as well, Hispanic owned, and I think one thing that gets forgotten is that there is because we're very welcoming and open, a good base of African American contractors, Indian American contractors, Arab American contractors, and engineering firms and architectural firms that join the organization and participate in a lot of our training and technical assistance, and understand that clearly it's important for the membership, our Hispanic community, but it benefits others as well.
And that's why it's so important to have an organization, to join an organization. Because to do it yourself, you can't accomplish what an organization could do.
Correct.
And Hacia can't do that, and they need a qualified executive director like yourself.
Thank you.
To implement the mission and their programs. See, because the people that own the firms, they're concentrating on running their company, getting contracts.
Correct.
And the organization that they belong to is very important. So I see Hacia grew, I mean, over, what, 40 years?
40 years. This is our 40th anniversary year, so we've had a nice year long so far, some good celebrations on that, but looking at the future. So
and even you said that even the name Hispanic, you have non-Hispanics joining the group. Because they need representation too.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned that it started with Harold. Washington. Harold was the key.
Absolutely.
Harold was the key there.
Yeah, we have a photo in the office that we keep to remind folks, and it's with original board members, and it's with Manny Rodriguez, the guy who helped found it, and they're giving an award to Harold Washington in 1984. So
it was a long time ago. Because at that time when Harold became the mayor, that's when I got the contract at O'Hare.
There you go. Good stuff.
And at Midway, and at Biggs. So I really glad that they hired you because of your experience.
Thank you.
On running the organization. Now, besides getting contracts, what else are you offering to the contractors for them to grow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a continuing offering of technical assistance and training for the members. Now, we do the things that other associations or chambers do in seminars and workshops, but we house everything under the concept that we call Hacia University. And so there is a multitude of offerings there. 95% of them are free to not only our members, but any contractor or design and construction firm that wants to get involved. So one thing that's key is there are either 4-month or 6-month training cohort offering or programs, but we also do the 8-hour, 16-hour, and those are typically a day or a couple day trainings that we provide as well. So it's important because even the medium-sized firm, and in our case, that's a firm with revenues of over $5 million. And if it's and compared to a smaller firm whose revenues perhaps are less than 500,000 or $1 million, one thing we know is that contractors and even professional service firms are very good at the technical aspects of the business, meaning the drywall or installation of the floor or the roofing, but it's the back office work, it's the budgeting of the organization, of the company that is critical and oftentimes gets overlooked because they never ask you, do you know how to install the flooring? It's, do you have the bonding? Do you have a safety plan? Can you actually manage 10 projects at once as opposed to the questions of, do you know how to connect wires or install the flooring? And so it's the back office business capacity that we want to make sure they have the wherewithal and the ability to access these programs because it gets you to grow your business and control it how you want to.
Interesting. That's, now, where do you find your instructors?
All over. Actually, we've got a very good strategic partnership with St. Augustine College and their Institute for Workforce Excellence. So that's their arm of their school that provides some customized training for all type of businesses, from manufacturers to service businesses to contractors. So we create curriculums with them. We've done so for the past 10 years. And it's a combination of our members and some of our staff to some of the staffers at our members as well. So, but always looking for folks. So.
Oh yeah, I know that's very important. As you mentioned, that they know how to install drywall or they know how to design a bridge, but to do the background in the office is very important too, to stay alive.
Oh yeah. Invoicing on time and reconciling their books and doing that, it gets forgotten, and it's and the safety component is a big part of it too because it improves their insurance rating, which lowers their rating and improves their ability for them to team up with a larger contractor or do bigger work because they require it now. So OSHA 10, OSHA 30, safety plan, that's very important. And especially if I could, for the Hispanic community, there is no real culture of safety, especially for Hispanics, not only here, but nationwide. I mean, there's a fatality just about every day in a Hispanic construction worker. And a lot of it, I guess, comes from the roots. If they're immigrants, there's no OSHA in Mexico or South America or Central America. They just pray and hope that they don't fall, and that's not. That doesn't get them to be more competitive in the marketplace. So we really push that. And we've done quite a bit of OSHA 30 classes this year so far. So.
That's excellent. Yeah, because the course that you have, when it comes to a contractor, he has to submit a bid prices. But when it comes to a professional firm, they have to market their company. Do you have that type of class for the professionals?
Oh yeah.
How to do the marketing?
Oh yeah, the marketing, the presentation.
The presentation.
Oh yeah, even because there's always oral presentations on a lot of these professional service proposals, and I think that gets forgotten. So the engineer might be great on the drawings or the, like I said, the technical aspects of it, but we offer those, right? We offer under Hacia U seminars on presentation, on how to actually do a pitch, how to actually try to close the sale or that type of presentation, which gets forgotten because many times we see presentations from some of our members that are even at our member meetings, and they'll have 10, 15 minutes and they're done in 5 minutes because they don't know how to actually explain the stuff. But no, it's important, and that's what we want to provide as well. Architectural firms as well. So.
Oh yes, Well, I'm glad that Hacia have grown. I mean, they're doing an excellent job. And also, if a company out there that wants to hire a company that does quality work, and they could go to Hacia,
Oh yeah,
and you could give them the list of companies, different categories,
absolutely.
and knowing that they will do an excellent job
Yep.
there.
Yeah, that's
That-
we get those calls, and
Yeah.
there is work in the public space,
Yeah.
public marketplace,
Yeah.
and then there's work in the private
Yes, private,
marketplace.
yes.
And the marketplace for the private can be everything from residential rehabs to
yeah.
multi-unit buildings
Right,
to
yeah.
to working on large-scale development. So there is quite a bit of a range of work. So
Sure.
yeah, we get those calls, and we just send the names of all our members, and they pick and they talk to them. So
And they could rest assured that the work that they do is quality work at a fair price, and they don't have to worry about finishing the project.
That's right.
Okay, yeah, that's so. Now, where's your location here in Chicago? I see.
we're officed in downtown, just off of Lake Street and Des Plaines.
Yeah.
So we're at 650 West Lake Street.
I see.
So it's right off of the expressway there, off the Lake Street exit. So we're a block south of Carnival Restaurant. So
Now, when
Easy to
you
get to.
you started in 2012.
actually 2011.
2011?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're 2019.
Yeah.
You see, 8 years. So when you started in 2011, you come 2019, you got about an 8-year spread.
Yep.
What change did you see in ASEA?
It's a great question. What has happened is reflective of actually the economy. So 8 years ago, we were still in the depths of the Great Recession.
Yeah.
And in construction, folks had booked business up until maybe 2012, 2013. And so it wasn't until 2013 that for construction and design, really the bottom falls out.
Yeah.
So we saw members membership drop. We saw members close. We saw members run through their succession plan and just either retire
Sure.
or hand it off to someone, sell their business. There wasn't a lot of work in general in construction, from
Yeah.
design to construction. And so we had to shift our focus and say, all right, maybe public work really isn't it. Let's look at some legislative efforts at
Yeah.
the state level, because there are other marketplaces in the private sector, or what we would consider private sector, that our members never had an opportunity. But 8 years ago, we knew that the utilities were planning to invest quite a bit because of the aging infrastructure that they dealt with. We know hospitals, we're looking at investing because of the changes in healthcare. And private universities continue to spend dollars. So we were looking at ways, how do you actually change legislation to open up opportunities? And so we looked at that and we
Yeah.
said, how do we do that? And that's when we started our initiatives to passing bills, and that got signed to open up the marketplace for not only our members, but
Yeah.
other minority women business and utilities, private universities, and hospitals. And then it's grown even further. But you see the uptick in the economy, you start seeing planned investment happening, and it's been quite a whirlwind because, as we all know, the economy starts taking off, and you see a lot of these large developments and large public projects being rolled out. And for the first time, we're in a unique situation where there's probably north of $60 billion in funded and planned projects, both on the public sector and private sector, in northern Illinois.
60 billion?
Yeah.
Oh,
We add the private investment from
Yeah.
these large projects
Sure.
like the 78,
Yeah.
but then you add the airport, you add the CTA, red purple line modernization. There's quite a bit there, and it's critical because we want to make sure that Hispanic companies are involved,
Sure.
but other M&WB firms
Sure.
too.
That's excellent. That it's good that you're going from public to private, because there's a lot of opportunities on the private side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And in that marketplace for the large private development, our members would never get
Yes,
opportunities.
right.
And in the last 8 years, that's really opened up. And it's been one of the goals that we set, that my board set for me, to say,
Yeah.
how do we start working with these large private developers? And it's finally, that atmosphere and environment has completely changed. So folks like Related Midwest, Lend-Lease Development, Magellan, these are the folks who build all the
Sure,
downtown
yeah,
stuff.
yes,
I mean,
yeah.
our members really never were involved in
Sure,
that stuff,
right.
because the general contractors wouldn't need to.
Yes.
But now we lobbied along with some of our elected officials who championed this, really pushed it so that changed the environment for our members. So it's a pretty exciting time.
How many female contractors do you have out there?
That's a good question. We do actually. There has been a surge in women-owned contractors, women-owned engineering firms, women-owned architectural firms,
I see,
and that's been growing. I don't have the number exact, but I will say through our training programs and our small business, small contractor training program, we've run about 52 firms in the last couple of years.
52 firms.
These are 52 firms. A little more than half have been women-owned contractors. And that was a first. Because and I remember we looked at the enrollments when we had our first kickoffs for orientation, and we looked around and we said, this class is 64% women. And it's exciting because it's, you know, that entrepreneurial spirit is definitely there, and we want to help them. So it's growing.
Now, do you work with banks for line of credit?
You know, we have a good partnership with Wintrust Bank.
Wintrust,
I think all the banks historically have been always skittish on contractors, and that's not fair. And it's you know, we've been working with them, particularly because there's so much work out there, right? And they need the line of credit that helps them with, you know, not only that, but their bonding and everything else, insurance that they need. There's a few other new initiatives underway that we're trying to have banks understand, because many times the banker won't want to work in the public sector or won't want to work with public partners on helping secure lines of credit. They know the SBA, they know those programs, but there's a lot of new programs that at the state level and local level that are being rolled out. So I think there's going to be more opportunity for that.
Now, Hacia, you mentioned that you do a lot of work in Illinois, but we got surrounding states, Indiana, Wisconsin. Are you expanding into those areas too?
Yeah, I mean, our membership comes from throughout Illinois, from Elgin down to Crete to Joliet, out to Aurora. But we even down in St. Louis, we have members that come up from here. To here from there. But our members do work up in Wisconsin. They do work out in Michigan, some in Indiana. We definitely want to look to increase our presence in the Midwest as well. So we're pretty excited about the opportunities there. And even in terms of locally, looking at setting up an office in Waukegan and out in DuPage County, out in Aurora as well.
Well, I foresee it going national.
I'm with you. You know,
I mean, you're growing because you give the opportunities for your other smaller companies throughout the United States to join an organization that provides classwork, provides tools on how to market your company, how to grow, and belong with a group that if they have any problems or questions, they could either call someone to get an answer. So I think nationally, they need your assistance.
I think you're right, and I mean, historically, construction has been a path to the middle class, right? And as Hispanics grow in numbers in the U.S., a lot of them are going into construction either as a worker or starting their own business, and there's a definite entrepreneurial spirit. So we team up with a group called the National Hispanic Contractors Association, but it's really sort of an aggregation of organizations like ours throughout the country. It's only about 6 or 7 of them. But we're the oldest group. We have the full staff, and we're trying to bring these other groups along. But you know, we're looking at whether or not, and probably we will say, well, why don't you just join Hacia? So there's a great opportunity. The numbers are there, and nationally, there's always that opportunity, and it's important that Hispanics in design and construction are involved in that conversation on infrastructure, because there's still no infrastructure bill from the federal level.
Well,
one day it'll happen.
Working on it.
One day it'll happen, right? And we want to be part of those conversations. So we've been doing annual fly-ins to DC to meet with our delegation of congressmen and women from Illinois, but then working with our partners and our teammates out of Georgia or the Carolinas or Texas or Florida, New York, to meet with their contingencies or their congressmen and women and senators, so that we do push this concept of Hispanics need to be involved in design and construction at the federal level.
Yeah, because what I see is that anytime our agency have an Hispanic contractor, they do quality work, and majority of the contractors are Hispanic, or if they're not Hispanic, they belong to your organization.
Correct.
So everyone knows the It's called Hacia, Hispanic American Construction Industry Association.
Correct,
Hacia.
yeah.
So they all know the name.
Yep, we have probably the best acronym
Yeah.
of all the organizations
Right,
because everyone
right.
remembers us.
Quality worker, and also you have. What are some of the accomplishments that you could say 3 or 4
Sure.
that your members have done here?
Like historically, or
Yeah,
just that?
it started
You know,
already.
I think one thing that we tell folks is with our membership,
Yeah.
you can design and engineer and build just about anything.
Yes.
I mean, everything from work at the airport, runway work, out to engineering work with water reclamation
Yeah, yes,
district,
yes.
or even schools, libraries,
Yeah.
police stations, the Dan Ryan,
Yeah.
Soldier Field, Sox Park, even Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
Our members have been involved in
tollways.
tollway work,
Yeah.
definitely IDOT,
Yeah.
definitely the CDOT, all the city
Sure.
infrastructure departments as well, Park District.
Yeah.
That's a great story, right? And that's really provided these firms opportunity to achieve the American dream, hire more workers. That's been really, really key and exciting. And then you see firms that actually have been gone through rough times, and you see them come back and
Yes.
reboot themselves,
Yeah.
and lessons learned, and how do you actually get
Correct.
back on
Yeah.
the road to success again, and that's been great. So
Sure. Now this is 1919 now, so
2019.
2019, 19. Yeah, 20. Now 10 years from now, what do you vision Hacia 10 years from now?
That's a great question. I think we would definitely want to make sure we take advantage of the uptick in the economy here, so that the business of Hacia right continues, and we can be sustainable and competitive.
Yeah.
Because people who have their own firms can choose to not join or not participate. There's a lot of other great organizations out there, and and we don't tell them don't join, right? But that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think we're trying to use the great successes that we had before, the great relationships that we've created in the past, to say, how do we grow this organization and provide our services elsewhere, right? Is it the Midwest? Definitely nationally as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a good opportunity. We want to make sure that we continue our legislative push and defense of the minority women business programs, and also provide that opportunity for firms elsewhere to be part of Hacia, and really provide that technical assistance and training for them, because they need it, right? I
Right.
mean,
Well, that's the key.
right.
That's
You want to
the
make
key.
sure you continually learn and
Yeah.
continue the education and training, and so we definitely want to look at, and we've been looking at some new platforms for us to get us to that point.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we've had a great investment in our own technology, so we increase our presence and our know-how, ability to get our message out there and create those connections.
Well, you mentioned that technology is changing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, technology,
it's all different.
Oh, it's all different, yeah.
I've had members who used to go and say, like, don't email me, don't text me, just call me.
Yeah.
And now they're like, just text me.
Yeah. So now,